Trace the paths of ancient caravans. Hear the distant echo of camel bells and the whisper of traders carrying frankincense, myrrh, and silks along the Incense Route that once linked Oman to Mesopotamia, India, and beyond. Oman's deserts and mountains are not just scenery, they are corridors of human history where Bedouin tribes have roamed for millennia, mastering survival in a harsh yet stunning environment. In the Wahiba Sands, life adapts to extremes. Temperatures can soar past 50 degrees in summer, yet Bedouin families thrive in black goat hair tents, moving with the seasons, herding camels and goats across ever-shifting dunes. The desert's flora, resilient acacias, date palms in hidden wadis, and hardy shrubs, provide sustenance and shade. Wildlife, too, has learned patience. The Arabian oryx, reintroduced after near extinction, trots silently under the dawn sun. Sand gazelles navigate the ridges with grace. Desert foxes and monitor lizards trace secret nocturnal paths beneath a canopy of stars. Turn north, and the Hajar Mountains reveal a different rhythm of life. Wadis, deep river-carved canyons, channel rare rainfall into terraced farms where pomegranate, fig, and date trees cling to rocky slopes. Villages like Misfat al-Abriyain, with houses stacked into the mountainside, show ingenuity born of necessity. Falaj irrigation systems dating back 500 years, feeding crops and communities, a testament to human harmony with landscape. Rugged trails wind past fossil-rich cliffs, jagged peaks, and sheer canyons, rewarding those who trek with views that stretch beyond the horizon to the Gulf of Oman. The coastline is the final chapter, a meeting of land and sea. Fjord-like inlets, such as those at Musandam, carve dramatic silhouettes, while turtles nest on unspoiled beaches and dolphins ride the waves alongside dhows. Coral reefs flourish in Oman's warm waters, sheltering vibrant fish and providing sustenance for coastal communities. This convergence of ecosystems, desert, mountain, and sea, creates a dynamic tapestry where geology, climate, and human ingenuity intersect. Oman is more than a country. It is a living chronicle of survival, trade, and adaptation, a place where every dune, cliff, and coastline holds a story whispered through time. At first light, the desert exhales. The Wahiba Sands dunes glow molten orange, their edges sharp as if etched by an unseen hand. Camels stir, their padded feet shifting silently over the cresting ridges as Bedouin families emerge from black goat hair tents. Water skins are filled, coffee is brewed over small fires, and the ritual of mourning unfolds. Simple, deliberate, necessary. Every movement is measured by the rhythm of the land, the wind shaping the dunes, the sun's angle dictating travel, and the distant mountains marking direction. These nomads move not at random, but along pathways older than recorded history. Caravans once brought frankincense from Dhofar to Mesopotamia, myrrh to the Mediterranean, and Omani silver to India. Today, the Bedouin still trace these invisible veins, seasonal migrations dictated by pasture, water, and tradition, carrying camels, goats, and centuries of inherited wisdom. Children learn the language of the desert before the alphabet, the sound of shifting sand, the shadow of a falcon on the dune, the subtle scents that signal water or prey. And then there are the oases, hidden jewels of green cradled in arid expanses. From small pools surrounded by date palms to cliffside springs trickling through mountain wadis, these sanctuaries are life itself. Here, goats and camels drink, families rest, and whispered stories of ancestors' journeys are recounted beneath the shade of acacias. Without them, the Bedouin could not endure. With them, culture persists, quietly resilient. As day bends toward evening, the dunes become a cathedral. The wind sings through the ridges, sand sparkles like gold dust, and the sun casts long shadows over a landscape that seems alive, breathing, and eternal. At night, fires dot the horizon, tea simmers, and stories rise with the smoke. Tales of trade, survival, and unseen connections stretching back thousands of years. The stars above are a map, a clock, and a witness. This is Oman beyond maps and guidebooks. A land where endurance is measured in footsteps across sand, in the patient passing of knowledge from elder to child, in the quiet miracles of water and shade. This is Nomadic Echoes in the Sands, a journey into time, into culture, into the subtle poetry of survival. The sands whisper. We follow. The story begins in deep antiquity, when Oman stood at the heart of one of the ancient world's most valuable trade networks, the Incense Route. For more than 3,000 years, this vast commercial artery carried wealth from the southern Arabian Peninsula to the Mediterranean, linking the frankincense groves of Dhofar to the temples, palaces, and cities of Tipkin, Egypt, Rome, and Persia. At its center was frankincense, the aromatic resin of the Boswellia sacra tree, native to southern Oman. In the ancient world, this substance was worth more than gold by weight. It was burned in Roman religious rituals, used in Egyptian mummification, prized in Persian and Greek medicine, and traded as both a sacred offering and a luxury commodity. Vast caravans, sometimes numbering 1,000 camels or more, moved slowly northward, guided by the ancestors of today's Bedouin. They crossed the Wahiba Sands, skirted the rugged Hajar Mountains, and navigated a chain of hidden oases where water, shade, and survival itself were traded like currency. Every route depended on intimate desert knowledge passed orally from one generation to the next. These journeys were not legend. They were recorded history. Roman scholars like Pliny the Elder, writing in Natural History, described the immense value of Arabian incense, while Claudius Ptolemy's maps traced the trade corridors linking southern Arabia to the Mediterranean world. Ports such as Sumhuram, near today's Khor Rori, served as gateways, funneling frankincense north toward Gaza, where it entered the global markets of the ancient world. These routes forged more than commerce. They shaped cultures, sustained nomadic societies, and bound Oman to civilizations thousands of kilometers away, long before empires, long before modern borders. And at every step, it was the desert, harsh, demanding, unforgiving, that decided who would pass and who would not. By the 7th century CE, the arrival of Islam reshaped Arabia's spiritual and social landscape, and in Oman, the Bedouin tribes became more than nomads. They became guardians of the land itself. Tribes such as the Al-Harasi, moving through the Wahiba Sands, and the mountain-dwelling Al-Hajar, carried an irreplaceable inheritance. Precise knowledge of water sources, seasonal routes, and safe passage across some of the harshest terrain on Earth. The Wahiba Sands, named after the Al-Wahibi tribe, evolved into a living proving ground of endurance. Its dunes are never still, shifting 10 to 20 meters each year, swallowing old trails and revealing new ones without warning. Routes memorized by memory and instinct mattered more than maps. A single misjudgment could mean death by exposure. To the north, the Hajar Mountains offered a stark contrast. Their jagged ridges are carved by wadis, dry riverbeds that remain dormant for years, then transform into violent torrents during rare but intense rains. These mountains provided cooler elevations, natural shelter, and seasonal grazing, critical refuges when the lowlands became unbearable. Bedouin life followed the rhythm of the land. Winter was spent in the coastal plains, where fishing supplemented diets and date palms provided sustenance. As temperatures rose, entire families migrated inland and upward. Summer brought them to the high mountains, where brief monsoon rains coaxed grass from stone and sustained their herds. This was not wandering, it was precision movement, guided by generations of accumulated knowledge. Every migration balanced survival, faith, and environment, reinforcing a way of life that adapted to change without ever surrendering to it. The desert moved, the mountains endured, and the Bedouin learned to move with both. These migrations gave rise to one of the desert's most sacred values, hospitality, known as diyafa. In Bedouin tradition, a stranger is not questioned, they are welcomed. For 3 days, a guest is offered shelter, food, and protection without expectation or obligation. In a land where survival depends on trust, hospitality is not kindness, it is law. At the heart of this ritual is coffee, or kawa. More than a drink, it is a ceremony of respect and peace. Green beans are slow roasted over open coals, their aroma announcing welcome before a word is spoken. They are then hand ground with mortar and pestle, boiled gently with cardamom, sometimes saffron, and poured from a raised height to aerate the brew, a visible sign of care and intention. The coffee is served in small, handleless cups, never filled more than a third. The host pours with the right hand. The guest receives with the right. Conversation unfolds in the majlis, seated low around the fire, where stories, decisions, and silence are shared in equal measure. To refuse coffee is to refuse peace. To accept it is to enter the circle of trust. This ritual has endured for centuries, unchanged by borders, empires, or modern time. In the desert, where resources are scarce and nights are cold, hospitality became a survival technology, a social contract as essential as water. Here, generosity is not excess, it is wisdom. Up close, daily life unfolds in a rhythm finely tuned to the desert's demands. A typical Bedouin family is often extended, with 3 generations sharing a single, moving household. Their home is the Beit Shar, a black tent woven from goat hair, traditionally crafted by women on portable looms. Its design is ingenious. The loose weave allows air to circulate in the heat, while the dark fibers swell during rain, sealing out water and wind. Inside, the space is both practical and ceremonial. Carpets and cushions line the front, forming a majlis where guests are received. Toward the back lie sleeping mats, storage sacks, and cooking pots, a quiet division between public welcome and private life. The men tend to the herds, camels and goats, guiding them across dunes and gravel plains to patches of sparse vegetation that only trained eyes can detect. Some practice falconry, an art that predates Islam by thousands of years. Falcons are raised and trained over years to hunt houbara bustard, a demanding discipline requiring patience, precision, and deep understanding between human and bird. Women shape the cultural backbone of the camp. They weave sadist textiles, bags, straps, and rugs marked with geometric patterns believed to symbolize protection, continuity, and tribal identity. They also prepare meals that sustain life in extreme conditions: haris, a slow-cooked porridge of wheat and meat; majbouz, fragrant rice spiced with cardamom and cloves; and shua, lamb marinated and sealed in palm leaves, then cooked underground for hours until it falls apart by hand. Children learn the desert early. They are taught to identify edible plants, like the pods of the summer acacia, to read stars for navigation, and to recognize when silence means safety and when it signals danger. Survival is not taught as fear, but as awareness. In this world, nothing is wasted, nothing is rushed, and every action, from weaving a tent to reading the sky, is part of a knowledge system refined over centuries. This is not life against the desert. It is life with it. Daily life, above all else, revolves around water, its absence, its pursuit, and its careful stewardship. In the Wahiba Sands, water lies far below the surface. Wells are traditionally dug 30 to 50 meters deep, their locations memorized and guarded knowledge passed down through generations. A single misjudgment can mean death, which is why water knowledge has always been more valuable than gold. In the Hajar Mountains, survival depends on a different marvel: the Falaj system. These ancient underground channels, some built over 2,500 years ago, tap mountain aquifers and gravity-feed water to villages, date palm groves, and terraced gardens miles away. Known collectively as Aflaj, these systems are so sophisticated and socially vital that UNESCO recognizes them as intangible cultural heritage. But the Falaj is not just engineering, it is governance. Water distribution follows strict community agreements measured by time, not volume. Every family receives its share according to schedules overseen by elders, reflecting Bedouin values of fairness, cooperation, and collective survival. To disrupt this balance is to threaten the entire community. At night, as fires crackle beneath open skies, elders tell stories shaped by this fragile relationship with water. Tales of lost caravans saved by secret wells, of travelers guided by stars to hidden springs, and of droughts broken by sudden rain. When dry wadis roar to life, grass erupts overnight, and the desert transforms from silence into abundance. In these moments, water is not merely a resource. It is memory. It is morality. It is life itself. And in Oman's deserts and mountains, every drop still carries the weight of history. The enduring legacy of Oman's Bedouin is one of adaptation without erasure. Since the discovery of oil in the 1960s, Oman has undergone rapid modernization, roads carved through mountains, cities rising along the coast, and education and healthcare reaching even remote regions. Yet for many Bedouin families, progress did not mean abandonment. Instead, it meant integration. Seasonal migration still continues, though reshaped by modern tools. Where caravans once crossed dunes on camelback alone, 4x4 vehicles now accompany herds, allowing families to move supplies, elders, and children while preserving the rhythm of nomadic life. Camels remain central, not merely as livestock, but as symbols of identity, endurance, and lineage. Camel breeding, racing, and poetry are actively preserved as intangible cultural heritage, supported by both families and the Omani state. Tourism has introduced another layer of change. In regions like the Wahiba Sands, some Bedouin have established low-impact desert camps, inviting outsiders to experience traditional hospitality, food, and storytelling beneath the stars. These camps provide income and cultural exchange, but participation is selective. Families draw clear boundaries, sharing curated glimpses of their world while safeguarding sacred knowledge, private rituals, and migratory routes. This balance between openness and protection, innovation and continuity, is deliberate. The Bedouin are not relics of the past, nor are they frozen in time. They are active custodians of a living culture, choosing what evolves and what endures. In Oman, tradition does not resist the future. It walks beside it, step by step, across the sand. The dramatic revelation lies not in conquest or collapse, but in water. Hidden oases are the desert's quiet miracle, the lifelines that make nomadic survival possible. In the Wahiba Sands, where rainfall averages less than 100 millimeters per year, oases such as Al-Wasil and Al-Mintirib emerge unexpectedly. Emerald sanctuaries cradled by towering red dunes. These are not accidents of nature. They are sustained by ancient underground aquifers, replenished over millennia by rainfall filtering down from the Hajar Mountains, sometimes traveling tens of kilometers beneath the sand. Water reaches the surface through wells and Falaj channels, gravity-fed systems engineered with astonishing precision. Some filage networks extend for several kilometers, sloping just enough to keep water flowing without erosion. Technology unchanged for over 2,500 years. The appearance of an oasis is often sudden. One moment, endless dunes. The next, date palms casting shade, birds calling, and life unfolding. Dates are the backbone of desert sustenance. Oman cultivates over 100 varieties, including kalas, fard, and kunezi, each suited to specific soils and water conditions. For Bedouin families, dates provide dense calories, potassium, magnesium, and natural sugars essential for endurance during long migrations. Traditionally eaten with laban, fermented milk, or coffee, they are both sustenance and symbol, the desert's gift of survival. In the Hajar Mountains, water tells a different story. Here, oases take the form of wadis, seasonal river valleys carved deep into limestone over millions of years. Wadi Bani Khalid, one of the most revered, conceals permanent pools of turquoise water fed by underground springs shaded by cliffs and date groves. Rock carvings etched into canyon walls, some over 2,000 years old, depict animals, tribal symbols, and journeys, silent records of those who passed through seeking water and refuge. For Bedouin families, these wadis are more than geography. They are social and spiritual gathering places. During rare rains, families converge to celebrate renewal, washing clothes, tending animals, sharing meals, and performing quiet rituals of gratitude. Elders teach children how to read the land, the sound of moving water beneath stone, the color of soil that signals moisture below, the plants that only grow where aquifers breathe close to the surface. These oases remain deliberately understated. Many are unmarked on maps, protected not by fences but by knowledge passed orally across generations. To reveal every water source would be to endanger it. Survival in the desert has always depended on restraint as much as discovery. And so, hidden among dunes and mountains, these oases persist, not as relics, but as living proof that life in the desert has never been accidental. It is engineered, remembered, and fiercely protected. This is the Bedouin's secret. Not domination of the desert, but listening to it. These oases are more than water sources. They are sanctuaries of renewal, and in Oman they carry spiritual as well as practical meaning. Bedouin lore often speaks of hidden wells and springs as gifts from Allah, discovered through dreams, intuition, or divine signs that guided travelers to life-giving water. In a land where rain is rare and every drop counts, these stories became part of the cultural fabric, reminders that survival is both physical and sacred. Today, that sacredness has only increased. Oman is one of the most water-stressed countries on Earth, with annual rainfall averaging around 76 millimeters, less than Matinias, 1/16th of the global norm, and climate models projecting higher temperatures and more erratic rainfall in the decades ahead. These shifts threaten freshwater resources and place even greater pressure on ancient water systems like the Aflaj. The traditional channels that once reliably brought mountain water to fields and settlements now face decreased recharge and greater demand, making every active filage more precious than ever. The Aflaj systems, UNESCO-recognized heritage structures that distribute water through underground channels and share it equitably among communities, are a testament to centuries of cooperation, resource stewardship, and legal traditions that limit overuse and protect fragile ecosystems. In many oases, these agreements determine who irrigates date palms, who waters livestock, and how long each family's share lasts, a social contract as vital as the channels themselves. In recent years, with climate change reducing rainfall and lowering aquifer levels, these hidden wells have become even more precious. Protecting them isn't just irrigation management, its cultural preservation and survival. Community pacts, rotation schedules, and careful grazing rules all reflect a long tradition of sharing what little water the land provides. And so, around desert fires and under star-swept skies, elders still tell tales of hidden oases, lost caravans saved by a spring just in time, and sudden rains that turn dry wadis into living rivers. In these stories, water is not just physical sustenance. It is hope incarnate, memory, and the promise of life in one of the harshest places on earth. As the sands settle and the stars blaze overhead, Oman whispers its ancient truths. Here, in the desert's harsh embrace, life endures, not by chance, but through legacy, hospitality, and the hidden grace of water and community. Every falaj, every oasis, every shifting dune carries stories of resilience passed down through generations. Traverse these routes with respect. Honor the Bedouin, their courage, their traditions, their unwavering connection to the land, and let their quiet strength renew your own sense of endurance and wonder. Thank you for joining this desert odyssey. Subscribe for more journeys into heritage, culture, and the landscapes that shape human lives. Until next time, may the sands guide your path, and may the whispers of the desert stay with you.